Post 800 Honor Guard folds the flag, according to tradition, I will explain the meaning of each fold. Ladies and gentlemen, the flag draped table you see before you represents the draped coffins of all those brave men and women who have gone before us to gain and then preserve the freedoms that made our country great. As the flag is folded, I'm going to offer some thoughts on just how much freedom costs down through the nation's history. Those of you who have attended a funeral with military honors will recall that the folded flag is presented to the deceased next of kin. Today, the folded flag will be placed in the center of the table to signify all those American servicemen and women who have given, in Abraham Lincoln's words, that last full measure of devotion. The first fold is a remembrance of the War of American Independence that gave birth to a new nation dedicated to the idea that Americans should be able to rule their own country. 4,000 members of the armed forces gave their lives for these ideals. The second fold marks the War of 1812, when the British tried to end their embarrassment by putting an end to the upstart nation. When the smoke had cleared, 2,000 more Americans had given their lives for freedom. That the idea that is America lived on. The third fold commemorates one of the most tragic periods in our history, the American Civil War, where brother fought brother, father fought son. In places like Fredericksburg, Antietam, Shiloh, and Gettysburg, over 300,000 Union soldiers, sailors, Marines died to preserve the Union and to end forever in this country the idea that one American could own another. The fourth fold signifies World War I. Battle names like the Argonne, the Bellewood, found their way into our history books, and 116,000 of our servicemen and women gave their lives in defense of France and Britain. The fifth fold honors the brave men and women who again answered the call to defend freedom in Europe. This time, World War II, the names Catherine Pass, Normandy, Bastogne, the Battle of the Bulge will forever mark their heroism. The sixth fold, we remember World War II in the Pacific, which was fought in places few Americans had ever heard of. Pearl Harbor, Midway, Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Before the greatest war in the history of the world ended, 16 million Americans served, and 406,000 did not live to see the victory they made possible. The seventh fold marks 1950, when the world was once again faced with aggression. This time in a country whose name ironically translates to Land of the Morning Calm, Korea. The battle names of Incheon, Chosin Reservoir, the Pork Chop Hill are burned into the pages of military and our nation's history. 39,000 Americans died to give South Korea a chance at freedom. American soldiers still manned the DMZ in the Asian country today. The 8th fold commemorates Vietnam. Still a controversial war, but there can be no question of the bravery of the soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen who went when and where their country asked. The names of Ai Drang Valley, Khe Song, Wei, Dak To, and the Tet Offensive, and the Hanoi Hilton are all etched in the minds of 8 million veterans who served during that war. The veterans who fought in that country will never forget the names of over 58,000 forever silent comrades, chiseled into the black granite wall of the Vietnam Memorial. The 9th fold marks the operations and small wars that kept the peace or carried out the government's wishes in and outside of our country. They include the Indian Wars, the Barbary Wars, the Seminole Wars, the Spanish-American Wars, the Philippine War, Boxer Rebellion, Haiti occupation, El Salvador, Beirut, Grenada, Panama, the Persian Gulf Wars, Somalia, and Bosnia. Whether we agree with these engagements, we cannot deny the courage and dedication of the men and women who fought for their country and the 22,000 servicemen and women who gave their lives in these cases. With the 10th fold, we remember the 3,000 American civilians and military personnel killed in the cowardly attacks of the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 97 on September 11, 2001. The 11th fold brings us to the ongoing wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, and several other countries. We honor the almost 6,000 members of the armed forces who have paid the ultimate price to ensure our freedom in places like Medina Ridge, Baghdad, and El Anbar province in Iraq, and Kandahar and Helmand provinces in Afghanistan. The 12th fold is a reminder that we must never forget our prisoners of war and the missing in action, who are still unaccounted for, to be forgotten. We must keep the faith with them and with the servicemen and women in any future wars, and never again negotiate a peace that does not provide for immediate and full accounting of those captured and missing. Finally, the 13th fold. We honor the members of Post 800 who, after serving their country in a time of war and their communities in peace, have passed on to the post everlasting.
March.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony, and please join us for a complimentary buffet luncheon provided by the Post. To all veterans, I salute you.